Hi guys, in this episode I'd like to cover the figure eight and the figure eight family of knots. This is going to be the knot that we're going to use to create kind of a loop in the end of our rope to be used as an attachment point for the rope. There's also several other uses for the figure eight, but this is going to be the primary use for that knot. Since we're going to talk about the family of knots here, I'll start out first off with the simple figure eight. Okay. The way I've always looked at the figure eight, this works well for me, is most people are very familiar with a simple overhand knot, something like this. Okay? I've always looked at it as an overhand knot with another half turn through before you come through. Okay? So essentially like that. So instead of coming through here and creating that, you're going to come another half turn around and come through here and create that. That would be the simple figure eight. This is really not useful, but that gives you kind of the basic idea of what we're aiming for here. Okay? To actually utilize this knot, we're going to tie it a few different ways. The first of which we're going to start with is called the figure eight on a bite. Okay? And when you create a bite, what you're going to do is create a small bend in the rope, folding it over on itself, and then tying it as if it is one rope. I've found that with this 1/2 inch static kern mantle rope, that you're going to be most successful as far as getting the appropriate length of tail if you do a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. I usually hold it about like this, and then will usually give me right about the right amount of tail for this to come out properly. Okay, so once we've created this bite, I'm going to go ahead and tie that same knot. Okay, so we're going to bring it around, okay, and then back through on itself. And what you'll notice is most of the time when you tie this first off, it'll come out as what I call a dirty eight, where you're going to have several little twists and that kind of thing in the rope. What you're going to want to do is work those out of the rope, okay, by kind of just finagling them around like so until you get what I'd call a clean knot or clean eight. The way this should work is these ropes should stay parallel as they travel through the knot. And you can see here that it sits relatively flat, and all these ropes are staying parallel as they travel through the knot. There's no crosses or twists. Okay? If you've done this properly, you should have enough tail to also tie your safety here. Okay? The safety knot we're going to use is called the double overhand knot, also sometimes referred to as the fisherman's knot. When you're tying this, you're going to want to cross over the rope with your tail enough to where you create this small X, and you're going to want to bring it around again and actually be able to stick that through. I didn't give myself quite enough tail in this case, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to feed back a little bit more of this rope through to give myself a little bit longer tail. Okay? Sometimes you can get away with doing this and get enough tail. If not, you may have to actually retie it and just give yourself a little bit more tail to start over. Okay, so we're going to take this around, we're going to create that small X right there, and we're going to take this and stick it up and through that X. Okay, when you're done with this, you're going to want this safety knot to be right up against the figure eight, and you're going to want usually a little more tail than this, usually about 4 inches or so of tail. I usually consider that about the width of my palm. So this is just about acceptable, maybe just a hair short right here on this knot. Okay? Alright. The next figure eight that we're going to tie in the figure eight family is what would be known as a figure eight follow through or a figure eight retrace. Okay? The reason you tie the figure eight follow through or figure eight retrace is when you need this figure eight to be wrapped around a complete loop or something that is a closed loop of some kind. We'll demonstrate that here with this tool here. Okay, so I'm actually going to wrap this through whatever my device is that I needed. Okay, and then when I come back around, I'm going to retrace the rope back through the figure eight that was already in the rope. Okay, so everywhere this rope goes here, I'm going to follow around at this rope. So this rope comes here and goes around the back. So we're going to do the same thing. This rope comes here and goes around the back. It goes through there, so we're going to follow it through there. Okay. It comes around this way and goes back through that. So we're going to do the same thing. Follow it back around there and through here. Once again, we're going to want to tie this figure eight clean. It should come out looking just like this, where everything's nice and flat. Okay. And then you'll also follow that up with our double overhand safety knot. Okay, and this time we were able to get that to come out with about the right amount of tail, about 1 palm width or 4 or so inches off of that, with a good safety knot buttered right up against our 8, and the 8 is complete right there. Okay, this can also be used to tie into your own personal harness as a way of tying yourself into a main line. Okay?